everyone, welcome back to Greta's House of Horrors. I hope everyone had a nice April and Easter for those that celebrate. Easter already happened, but I've been watching Easter horror movies throughout the month, so I wanted to talk about that today and the different categories of Easter horror and my own personal favorite movies. And then at the end of the video, I will go over a shopping haul that I did. So first, I want to talk about the categories of Easter horror movies. There are a few, but the ones that I kept seeing mostly have to do with bunny horror, and of that, I would see two different categories. The first one being bunny monsters, which would be mutants, aliens, and human bunny hybrids, and the other category are bunny killers, which would be serial killers donning either a bunny mask or a full bunny outfit. So there are a few other categories that I will talk about later, but for now I'm going to focus on the bunny horrors, and this will be spoiler free, but I will state what category they belong to and if the movie has an Easter vibe to it, because some of these movies don't have anything to do with Easter. It is just the fact that there is a bunny. So if this sounds interesting, please continue watching. So the first movie I watched was Easter Sunday from 2014. This is a low-budget horror comedy about a group of Easter party goers who wish to contact the spirit of a serial killer who had went on a killing spree on Easter. And the serial killer happens to be the father of one of the partygoers. And they not only get in contact with the spirit, but he possesses his son's body and continues the killing spree. So our partygoers must figure out how to stop them. This movie has Robert Zarr in it, and this happens to be his last movie, and they did do a shout out to Maniac Cop. And the film also has Ari Lehman in it, who plays Jason in the first Friday the 13th, and of course he makes a mention of Friday the 13th. So this movie falls under bunny killer, as we do have a serial killer, even though he is returned from the grave. This movie does have an Easter feel to it, as it does take place at Easter. And I did like the killer's mask. The eyes actually light up as he's about to kill someone. But I personally thought that they tried too hard at being funny and campy, and I just kind of felt that the humor just kind of missed the mark. So the next movie I watched was Bad Bunny from 2025, and this movie has nothing to do with the singer. In this movie, our opening scene, we are treated to a bestiality scene between a farmer and one of his bunnies, and then we cut to our main character and her dog. They are moving into this house in the middle of the woods, and as she's getting settled in, she hears that people are getting murdered by a mysterious monster, and she eventually encounters this monster, and it becomes a fight for survival. So this is a low-budget movie, but this was shot really well, and our lead actress pretty much carries the movie, and I thought her acting was very solid, and I liked the look of the bunny monster, but my one complaints about this are the pacing and the writing. About 80% of the movie, our main character is injured and wounded, and she's limping back and forth through the forest, making bad decisions and getting more and more lost. And honestly, I was getting a little frustrated. So this movie falls under a bunny monster, and this movie did not have any Easter vibes, as this did not take place at Easter at all. So moving on. The next movie I watched was Family Dinner from 2022. This is a foreign movie that was either German or Austrian, and our main character is an overweight teenage girl who wants to spend Easter weekend at her aunt's house. Her aunt happens to be a nutritionist, and the girl is hoping to get some advice. But as she's settling in, she's finding out that there's some things that are off in this household. So this movie actually doesn't fit any of my categories. There is no bunny monster. There is no bunny killer at all. This movie is a slow burn psychological thriller. And while this movie takes place at Easter, it didn't really have any Easter vibes. Our setting is a remote house in the woods, and the woods looked rather barren, and the colors in this movie were muted, and honestly most of this movie just kind of felt drab, except for some of the food presentations for most of the meals, which looked spectacular. So the next movie I watched was Bunny the Killer Thing from 2015. This was another foreign film. I believe this was from Finland. And it's about a man who gets kidnapped by a mad scientist and is injected with this serum that turns him into this perverted, sex crazed bunny monster that seeks out anything resembling female genitalia and basically humps it to death. Um, I have to note that I went into this movie completely blind. I did not watch the trailer. I didn't really look at the poster or anything. And to be honest, I was not prepared for this movie. Apparently, there is a censored version and an X rated version. And I got the X rated version. And there was monster genitalia everywhere and people getting raped to death. And I just wasn't prepared. Uh, this movie just got more and more WTF as it went along. So obviously this falls under Bunny Monster, and this movie did not take place at Easter. This did not have any Easter vibes to it. It was very snowy. This had more of a wintry feel to it. So that was that. So the next movie I watched was Easter Holocaust from 2020. This is a micro-budget film that is over 2 hours long. And the reason why I'm mentioning the length is because with micro-budget movies like this, they're usually only about an hour to an hour and a half. They're not typically 2 hours long. And the reason for this is they throw the kitchen sink at this movie. There are a lot of characters and subplots going on. So we have this demon that's in a Easter bunny outfit, is going around murdering people and removing their hearts. There's this devil worshipping family, cannibal family. This was taken right from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There are these psychics being held in a government facility, and the one psychic's trying to find this killer. There's drama going on at the local diner. There's a bounty hunter. There's a blind librarian. There was an Amish woman who's taken up stripping because why not? I mean, this movie had a lot of ambition, but as a result, it made for a tedious watch. I think, Ari Lehman was also in this too, and he also, gave another Friday the 13th mention. Let's see. So this obviously falls under Bunny Monster, and I think it took place around Easter. I think it did, but there just was so much going on. It was just kind of hard to pay attention to. So the next movie I watched was Easter Evil from 2024. This was also a micro-budget movie. It's about a killer in a bunny outfit that is targeting call girls in Las Vegas. I have to admit, I could not finish this one. This movie is a little over an hour, but our bunny killer doesn't really show up until almost 40 minutes into the movie. And prior to that, most of the movie is our main character, who is a call girl. She's just having sort of unscripted, just freestyling conversation with her friend in the hotel room. It's honestly rather bizarre. Like, the camera is just set up with this very long shot. There's no editing. It's just the two of them talking. And like, from an actor's perspective, it was, this type of, improvising, I thought was interesting. But from an audience perspective, when I sat down to watch, a Killer Bunny movie, I want a killer bunny. It's just, the banter, just kept on going. Some people might appreciate the banter, but this just was not holding my attention. So this falls under Killer Bunny, and I do believe this did take place during Easter, but I couldn't finish this one. So the last movie I watched for this month was Serial Rabbit 1 from 2025. And apparently this movie was from a while ago, but they reshot some wraparound scenes. And to be honest, I enjoyed the wraparound scenes, but I was rather struggling with the original footage. So it's about a serial killer in a bunny outfit, and in the wraparound scenes, he's already been captured, and he's, being interrogated by the detective. detectives, and then they present it as like flashback scenes of him doing the killing. And the one thing I liked about the wraparound scenes, he's handcuffed and he's making very simple gestures, which are not actual sign language, but I had the subtitles on, and it was like providing very elaborate sentences, and the detectives were like actually understanding and corresponding with that, and I thought that was kind of cute. But yeah, otherwise, with some of the pacing, I was just sort of struggling with that. So this falls under Bunny Killer, and I honestly don't remember if it took place around Easter. So now I'm going to talk about other Easter horror movies that I've seen years past that didn't quite make my favorites list. So the first is Cottontail from 2017. This is about a serial killer who kidnaps some people at Easter, and they have this Easter hunt, and he has other accomplices. They're like, I think he called them like honey bunnies. And personally, I just had issues with some of the pacing. And there's also a lot of voiceover in this that was, I think, similar to like American Psycho. I personally just thought there was a little too much voiceover. And so this falls under Bunny Killer, and this does take place at Easter. And I don't know, I didn't personally care for it. So the next movie I want to talk about is Easter Bunny Kill Kill from 2006. This is a grindhouse style Easter horror movie about a killer who's also a con man, and he's like laying low, and he has a new girlfriend, and her girlfriend has an autistic son. And our main character is absolutely horrible to the son. He's rather abusive and threatening. And our main character has an opportunity to babysit the son during Easter. And he invites some unsavory characters over. And eventually, a killer shows up in a bunny mask, and the body count starts to climb. So the reason why this didn't make my favorites list is because this was just a tough watch with all the abuse and threats that this autistic character went through. But I will say that this does have a happy ending. I would even say a heartwarming ending. So this falls under Bunny Killer, and this does have Easter vibes in it, as this does take place at Easter. So the next movie, or rather movies that I wanted to talk about, is the Bunny Man movie from 2011, and it has two sequels to it, Bunny Man Massacre from 2014 and Bunny Man Vengeance from 2017. These movies are a Texas Chainsaw style massacre movies, as our Bunny Man is a chainsaw wielding, psycho who is, tormenting and murdering pretty much everyone in his path. And he does have different accomplices in each movie who are either family or adopted family or just people that he has some sort of agreement with. And just honestly, these just wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, I think of all three of them, I think I did like the third one the best. There is this absolutely bizarre, like out of nowhere, drug-induced dream sequence with techno music, and it's just so out there, but I do like bizarre things. But so yeah, otherwise, these movies just, weren't really my thing. So the next movie I wanted to talk about was The Night Before Easter from 2014. This is a micro-budget movie about a group of friends who are gathered together for like a going-away party in this storage facility, and they get locked in with a killer in a Easter bunny outfit wielding an axe. And the reason why this didn't make my favorites list is simply because of, I suppose, like pacing. The majority of this movie felt unscripted, as most of the friends were just going off script and pretty much like talking over each other. And honestly, it just didn't hold my attention. So this falls under Bunny Killer, and I honestly don't remember if it took place at Easter, but the killer was, I believe he was in a full Easter bunny outfit. So the last ones I want to talk about are Easter Bunny Massacre from 2021, and then there's also a sequel to that, Easter Bunny Massacre, The Bloody Trail from 2022. So these are both low-budget movies from the UK, and these are both murder mystery whodunits. It's basically like I Know What You Did Last Summer set at Easter time. And the first time I watched the first one, I honestly was rather bored with it and thought it was lackluster. But I recently rewatched it, and honestly, it wasn't as bad as I remembered. So I think I would upgrade it from lackluster to mid. And so this falls under Bunny Killer, and this does take place at Easter. So there's a lot of Easter decorations and everything. With the sequel, The Bloody Trail from 2022, I enjoyed that one even less. And I'm not sure if it was like a reboot or whatever. It was pretty similar, but I felt it was even worse. So now I want to talk about the other categories. If you're absolutely sick of bunnies at this point, you can watch slightly more traditional Easter horror themes, which would be horror movies that have to do with Christ or the Antichrist. And then I also have another category, which would be about resurrections, but that can be rather vague as that would include zombie movies. So the first horror movie involving Jesus that I can think of is Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter from 2001. This is a low budget horror comedy parody slight musical cult movie, and I honestly get vibes of like 70s exploitation. Jesus is a kung fu fighting warrior who teams up with the Mexican wrestler Santo to fight a vampire clan who are targeting the lesbian community. And as you can imagine, this is not going to be for everyone. The next one is Fist of Jesus from 2012. This is a very short film. It's only 15 minutes. And in this, Jesus accidentally causes a zombie apocalypse during a botched resurrection. And Jesus and Judas must fight a zombie horde. And guys, this is a splatterfest. It's only 15 minutes long. It's on YouTube. There are English subtitles as this was in Spanish. And the last one I'm going to mention is Resurrection from 1999. This is a police procedural thriller about a detective who is searching a serial killer who is murdering men and using their body parts to build his own body of Christ. This is a Seven knockoff starring Christopher Lambert. So if you like Seven and you like Christopher Lambert, you might enjoy this movie. So that was all the Christ-related horror movies I can think of. Now I wanted to talk about the Antichrist. There are quite a few Antichrist movies out there, but I wanted to talk about the most well-known one, which would be the Omen franchise. And I just wanted to add a little personal story. When I was younger, one Easter, one of the cable networks, I want to say, it might have been the USA channel, they had an Omen marathon during Easter weekend. And my mom and I thought that was hilarious. So ever since then, we've associated the Omen movies with Easter. So the last category I wanted to talk about are movies that have to do with resurrection. But honestly, this can get pretty vast because zombie movies would qualify. On Easter, one of my Facebook friends announced that he was watching Burial Ground on Easter because that's his favorite zombie movie. I'm like, okay. But for resurrection, I did want to mention one movie, and that is Resurrected from 2023. In this movie, the Vatican has a patent for resurrecting people, but they have qualifications for that. So if someone dies, they have a team of hackers who will scrub your social media to look for, anything sinful, and they can deny resurrections. Our main character is a priest who is counseling resurrected people. And he's finding that there's something off with the resurrected people, and he thinks that there might be a conspiracy with either the church or the government. And this is a conspiracy type movie. It's also in a FaceTime, Zoom style, which became popular early in the pandemic. So, I know some people don't care for Zoom style, but I just wanted to throw it out there that this movie exists. I'm now going to talk about my top 10 favorite Easter horror movies. At number 10, I have Rotten Tale from 2018. Apparently, this was based on a comic or a graphic novel. Our main character is a scientist who is working in a government facility who is accidentally bit by a colleague's test rabbit, and he is slowly turning into this rabbit monster. And as he's slowly turning, he's having a personality change. He was originally very shy and timid, but he slowly becomes very outspoken. And he eventually encounters his childhood bully, who is now a con minister or pastor who's planning to demolish a historic church. So this falls under Bunny Monster, and I do believe this takes place at Easter. I do believe like the town has the word Easter in it. At number 9, I have Peter Rottentail from 2004, and I need to disclose a bias. This is a Polonia Brothers entertainment movie, and I have been in a bunch of Polonia movies. I am not in this movie, but some of my acting buddies are, so I might just be a little, I might be a little biased on this one. So this is about a struggling magician who makes a pact with some dark forces, and things end tragically for him. And he is later resurrected as Peter Rottentail, and he goes on a killing spree, killing those who are at this disastrous birthday party. And so this falls under Bunny Monster. This movie doesn't take place at Easter. It doesn't really have a lot of Eastery vibes. The bunny aspect is from the magician's rabbit, but we do have a resurrected theme to it. And this movie is an Easter staple for some Polonia fans. So at number 8, I have Night of the Lepus from 1972. This is a pretty well-known movie. It's about a town that has a rabbit population, so they bring in some scientists to try to solve the problem, but they accidentally make it much worse by accidentally creating giant rabbits that are attacking the town. And the one thing I like about this is that they use actual rabbits and like superimpose and made them really big. So you just have these giant, like almost kaiju sized rabbits attacking the town. So this one's a classic with bunny monsters, and this doesn't take place at Easter. It's just you just have these giant bunnies running around. So number 7, I have Holidays from 2016. This is an anthology film, and each segment takes place at a different holiday, and there is an Easter segment. It's about a young girl who's going to bed, and her mother warns her not to get up in the middle of the night to try to glance at the Easter bunny, and she accidentally does, with some devastating consequences. At number 6, I have Little Cute Buggers from 2017. This is a low budget foreign movie. I believe it was from the UK. This is an alien invasion movie that is striking a small town, and these aliens are using little bunnies that have like these tentacle things, and they're abducting women, and the town must try to stop them. The humor in this is a bit, immature. It's a little bit raunchy, and the CGI bunnies are laughable, but I thought this was a cute movie. And number 5, I have Beaster Day, Here Comes Peter Cottontail from 2014. This is a micro-budget movie about a kaiju-sized bunny attacking a small town, and 2 dog catchers must try to save the day. This is a cheesy, sleazy, dumb but fun movie. I like the special effects. The bunny is like this marionette that they use. I don't know. This movie's very dumb, but I like it. At number 4 is probably the most famous Easter horror movie, and that is Critters 2: The Main Course from 1988. Our famous, very hungry aliens lay their eggs, which are mistaken for Easter eggs, and they hatch during Easter festivities, and our bounty hunters must try to save the day. So at number 3, I have Fist of Jesus from 2012. Of course, I've already mentioned this earlier. This is just an absolute splatterfest that I enjoyed. And at number 2, I have any of the Omen movies, which I have also previously mentioned because I associate the Omen movies now with Easter. And now at number 1, my own personal favorite Easter horror movie is Easter, Bloody Easter from 2024. This is a horror comedy about a small town that is being terrorized by a jackalope who can mind control bunnies into being homicidal maniacs. And our heroine and her friends must figure out who the jackalope is and how to stop them. If you've never heard of this movie, go watch it on YouTube. Watch the trailer for that. This movie is also brimming with Easter vibes, as this small town takes Easter seriously. There are all kinds of Easter festivities, including a community bunny hop line dance. Seriously, go watch the trailer. Well, that is it for all the Easter movies that I have watched and talked about. So now I'm going to do my shopping haul that I have done throughout the month. The first few items are Easter horror-related things that I happened to pick up. And the first one is my absolute favorite. I picked up Easter Bloody Easter. And I'm just a little disappointed. I don't think there were any bonus features, but at least I have this on Blu-ray. And I picked up, I think it's Scream Factory, I picked up the Critters box set. This has the first 4 movies. I did not watch any Critter movies this month, but it's nice to know that I do have, sorry for the glare, I do have the first 4 now. And I picked up also Scream Factory. I picked up the Omen collection, and I did watch, we watched the first one and the remake. This has the 5 films on it. It goes up to the remake that was done about 20 years ago. So I'm absolutely happy that I picked this up. The next things that I bought were from Criterion. They had a flash sale at 50% off, so I did pick up a few titles. So the first 2 movies I picked up from Criterion are silent films. I picked up Haxan from 1922. This is sort of like a witchcraft documentary. It has like reenactments of like witch trials and like what they thought witchcraft was like. And I will say that Criterion has some really beautiful inserts and everything. I don't know. I know I have like a lot of glare here, but this comes with like booklets. The next one I picked up was Vampire from 1932. And this came with a nice book that has like the script, and it has like Carmilla writing Vampire, the screenplay, and Carmilla. So like that's a nice, let's see. Yeah. I know the light's pretty bright. And here's the Vampire disc. Comes with another little booklet that was inside. Some nice information. And then I picked up Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. What is this, from 1970? This is a Czechoslovakian horror movie. It's sort of like an adult version of like Alice in Wonderland. This is a coming-of-age horror movie. Valerie is just surrounded by really awful people and actual monsters. There are vampires in this movie. After I watched the movie, I thought there was some confusing things because there's like, this movie's very surreal and dreamlike, and I actually read the book afterwards, so I was able to understand some of the things that were going on better. But let's see. There's just some other nice inserts here. Like, oh, it's mostly like cast credits, and then the last thing that I picked up was The Others. Was it from 2001? So, you know, this is just classic ghost movie with Nicole Kidman. Actually, I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. And again, here's more inserts. Yeah, some glossy pictures, and I think like an interview in it. So then Arrow also had an Easter sale, so I picked up a couple of box sets. The first thing I got was the Hellraiser Quartet of Torment. It's a really beautiful box set of the first 4 movies. It's been around for a while, so you know, you're probably already aware of this one, but just I thought this looked really cool. And it came with this little book. I thought this was going to be like a comic book from Clive Barker, but I think there's like interviews and biographies in here. Yeah, my show and tell skills are not that good. I'm not used to doing this type of stuff. But yeah, this is quite interesting. Previously, I had the first one on DVD, and I have this DVD collection of like 3 through 8. So I can get rid of the first one now. Let's see. So yeah, this is a pretty nice box set. And then I also picked up the Jalo Essentials, the yellow edition, because I thought that was appropriate. Jalo means yellow. So this box set contains What Have They Done to Your Daughters, Torso, and Strip Nude for Your Killer. So for any Jalo fans, it's pretty decent. Torso is a very good Jalo, if you haven't seen this one. So my last stack are Blu-rays and DVDs that I got at my used game store. I got all these on store credit from other trade-ins that I had, so it was kind of like I got these for free. I picked up a Blu-ray of Kiss of the Damned. It was a vampire movie. And I picked up Daybreakers. I originally picked up Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but there was something wrong with the Blu-ray. It must have been scratched up. So I went to return it to exchange it, but there were no other Blu-rays of that one. So I exchanged that for The Dead Hate the Living. This is a Charles Band Full Moon feature. I picked up 30 Days of Night, Dark Days. I don't currently own the first one, but I kind of thought this sequel might be hard to find, so I figured I'd grab this one, and anytime I can pick up the first one. I picked up this 3 set of Carrie. This has the original, it has the sequel, what is it, The Rage Carrie 2, and this has a made-for-TV like mini-series of Carrie. So this is a DVD. There is a 2-disc, there is like a 2 set of the original and the remake on Blu-ray, which is in my wish list. So at some point I will pick up all the Carrie movies. I actually haven't seen the remake yet, but I heard that it was pretty decent. I picked up one of my favorite ghost movies. This is The Legend of Hell House. I know this is from the 70s. The DVD quality of this is not so good, so I would like to upgrade this on Blu-ray, and then I could take this back to the used game store. And then I picked up these 2 Russian horror movies. I have Night Watch and Day Watch. So that is it for my video. I hope you have enjoyed this. If you have, please give a like and subscribe. I don't know what I'm going to do for next month. I know there are quite a few holidays. We have May Day or Beltane. I could talk about, folk movies again. We have Cinco de Mayo. I have seen some Mexican horror, but I don't feel like I'm knowledgeable enough to talk about Mexican horror in great length. We have Mother's Day. I could talk about movies that feature, predominantly feature mother figures. And then we have Memorial Day. I could talk about movies that either take place on Memorial Day weekend or, talk about movies that, deal with soldiers or talk about, resurrected soldiers. Or I just might be lazy and just do a shopping haul. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. So hope you enjoyed and have a nice rest of your day. Bye.